KUGAN CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with Matchroom Marbella. We're at the Matchroom headquarters. With me I've got Eddie Hearn. What's that look?
We're in someone else's office. I hope they don't come in. Have you actually got notes for this interview?
No, I just wanted to read you out some stuff. So, in our last interview, you wanted to...
Well, this is... Feels like I'm in the nick or something.
Well, no, you wanted to obviously read out some of Tyson Fury's tweets.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to just pick out some of the highlights from last night, basically.
Oh, right, yeah.
So, Tyson Fury, okay. Can't believe how much of a prick Eddie Hearn really is with his little bitch flex.
By the way, sorry, carry on.
Poached every fighter in the UK, sidewinder Eddie. That was quite good.
It was quite tame.
The day Flex fights me, he gets 20%, not a percent more, bitches. Remember, hashtag super champ, not a title holder. Rob from me, pussy's boy. Anthony Joshua at Eddie Hearn wouldn't last 5 minutes in my world. A pair of proper pussies who both need a slap from me, a real man. And this is my personal favourite. Eddie Hearn is a wanker, just a businessman. He's not a proper boxing man like Mick and Frank. He's just a spoilt brat, in my opinion.
Humble opinion.
I just thought we'd share that out there. Who started that yesterday? Was it?
I don't know. I just... you know, like all of a sudden you're there and you check your mentions and you got like 1,000 mentions for, oh, what's happened here? And then went to Tyson Fury's tweets and thought, oh, here we go. So I just went back and forward with him. One thing that came out of the tweets last night, which I think is really important, is me and AJ absolutely love the nickname Flex. So he wants to start calling himself that.
Flex?
I was reading it out to him. He went, what's Flex? I went, that's you. Because that's what he's calling him, isn't it? Flex. If you and your mate flex. Yeah. So he loves that. So it might actually come out with Flex on his gown and all that kind of stuff. I just told him. One, he thinks I poach fighters. The door's always open to him. Two, we wouldn't last 5 minutes in his world. Well, I probably wouldn't. I'm sure AJ would. But it ain't about his world. It's about the world I'm interested in, which is the four-cornered one. And what was the other one? I said, come and get your belt back. But he knows, listen, he's playing the game. And what people don't know, and as usual I'll give you, exclusives, is we're already in negotiations for that fight. On Friday, I had a long conversation with Peter Fury. And, he made it clear to me, they want the fight. Everything through Peter, he's making the decisions, and I told him the same thing. 100%, we want that fight. 100%. In fact, AJ won't stop talking about it. When do you think we can do it? Would you do it next? Do it in November? Or do we have to wait till spring, summer? So look, you worry about fighting. That fight's going to get made. And we even discussed the splits. So, Peter, although Peter is a boxing man, he's not necessarily a guy who's deeply embedded in the business. So he hasn't got some of the scars that the game gives people who've been in it for a long time. I always say to you about how bitter people are in the sport, but it's because they've been in it such a long time. And I will eventually be bitter. I don't think you can be anything else in this game. But Peter's not really on the inside, so he's great to work with. I've got a lot of time for him. And for Huey and for Joe, his brother boy. And I know, especially after that conversation on Friday, that it will take us 5 minutes to make that fight.
But obviously, the big obstacle in a way is whether Fury beats Klitschko in July.
Yeah, and that's a concern as well. It's a concern because he's clearly got the raving ump that AJ has become the biggest star in British boxing by a mile. He's got the platform, he's got the huge multi-million-pound endorsements, and he hasn't, and he doesn't feel like he's getting the respect he deserves. Maybe he's right, but he hasn't got, there's no one promoting him. He has to do all of this himself. So last night is Tyson Fury sitting there go in, right, I'm going to cause a little bit of aggro. Get people talking. Who shall I go for tonight? Fat Eddie Hearn and AJ. Flex. Do you know what I mean? So off he goes, blah, 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 blah. And I know what he's doing, and we played a game. But there's no one pushing him. He's got no platform other than his own platform. The only platform Tyson Fury's got is Twitter. So, you know, if he was with the right people, Fury would be 5 times the size he is now. Fucking hell. Excuse my French. In many respects, he's a promoter's dream. You just wind him up, sit him on the table and let him go.
Is that not a little bit of a discredit to the people that have got him where...
Oh no, listen, they've done a good job, and you know, if you're talking about Mick, he's backed him all the way. I can't, but people can only take you so far. You know, and Froch is another good example. You know, when you look at the journey that Froch went on with Mick Hennessy, I don't think he got what he deserved at the top end, but on the way, I'm sure he built him really well, but you can only take him so far. And that's why I think one of the reasons Tyson gets the hump, because he feels like he's beaten the man, and he has. But yet, you got this other kid on the block, who's the golden boy, who is breaking records, figures, numbers, endorsement deals. I'm off to America tomorrow to tie up his new broadcasting deal out there. I mean, it's gone global. But the fact is, they've got to fight each other, and they will. Promise you that they will. Win or lose for Tyson, they'll fight each other. But I am honestly got everything crossed, and I hope he's focusing on that fight. Tyson is a lot smarter than he seems. Do you know what I mean? People look at him and go, you're a village idiot. But he's not. He knows what he's doing, and he does it well at times.
Well, it was entertaining for everyone on Twitter.
I loved it. I mean, I think it's, at the moment, it's definitely cool for the so-called, I hate saying it, hardcore fans to have a pop at us, or have a pop at AJ, or, you know. So at the moment, it's great. It's like, just like dodging bullets on Twitter, firing back, having a laugh, and it's good. Everyone's talking about boxing, good or bad. People are talking about it, and that's good news for the sport. So
yesterday you obviously formally announced Anthony Joshua's first defence of his IBF crown will be against Dominic BREAZEALE. Is that how you pronounce his name?
BREAZEALE. Yeah, trouble.
How was it perceived to you?
Average, I think. From the outset, I mean, obviously, when we sit down and make a decision, we sit down with our broadcast partners and Josh and the trainers, and we look at the rankings, and we had a choice of those available. Andy Ruiz.
Andy Ruiz was in the
he was 7 or something like that. Right. Andy Ruiz, Eric Molina, Dominic BREAZEALE, or Jarrell Miller. They were the 4. So we were quite close with Molina, but you kind of like, you know you're going to get, this is the mindset trying to put you in my shoes. So you know you're going to get flack, whatever happens, because that's just like, that's what I get. So how do you find, 1, an opponent that's going to be a decent test, 2, a guy that the broadcasts are happy with, 3, a guy you can sell, and 4, a guy that hopefully will test AJ. So I'm looking across those guys. Everyone's got their ups and downs. Oh, the other one was De Halfus. Johan De Halfus, so there's 5. Yeah. He's decent. So he's a bit of a handful. So I look at it and I say, right, well, we have to look at the American market. They're all over AJ at the moment. So I'd quite like an American opponent, but doesn't rule out the other guys. Andy Ruiz, and I know I'm not an athlete, but the problem is with Andy Ruiz is he don't really look the part. And the stick that I would get with the pictures going around on Twitter if this is AJ's next.
He can actually fight though.
He's a decent fighter, but it doesn't matter, does it? I mean, I have to think about silly little things as well. De Halfus was a real no-go in the markets we need to, but, you know, would have been a decent little fight. And Jarrell Miller, I think, could be a fight for the future. I mean, he's got a good trap, but no one really has ever heard of him. So the choices for me were Eric Molina and BREAZEALE. So I looked at Molina and I thought, it's a decent test, coming off a good win against Adamek, but he's been knocked out in a round by Areola, and I know that's coming for the stick. And I looked at BREAZEALE, Olympian, 6'8", well known by the US networks, can punch, unbeaten, 17 wins, 15 KOs. He's our guy. Spoke to Eric Molina, spoke to Don King, which, you know, what went on there and the conversations that went on there is definitely one for the book when I've retired. But BREAZEALE was the guy who accepted, and yeah, I feel like he's the right guy.
Did it ultimately come down to who had more banter from BREAZEALE and Molina?
No, because I don't think either of them are great on banter. But this one was not about the banter. I can confirm that. But he fancies it, BREAZEALE.
It's a brave fight for BREAZEALE to come over. Obviously, it's like...
I mean, again, you know, we live in a world where people criticise everything. And people will now go, well, he got decked in the Mansour fight. I mean, Mansour can fight, mate. Like, that's a tough fight. But you can pick holes in everybody. Like, that's what I'm saying about Molina. He got KO'd in a round by Ariola. I think it's a solid first defence, I do.
Okay, one fight you've ever announced for the undercard. Doesn't sound like an undercard.
No.
Groves and Murray.
Yeah.
It was expected. Crossroads fight for both of them in a certain sort of way, not to the level of Macklin and Rose, but just sort of...
It's a higher profile fight than that. I mean, these are guys that are bang on world level, aren't they? So you got Martin Murray's boxed the very best for the world title, probably deserved to win a couple. And George Groves been in some huge profile fights. So the good news for these guys is that this particular fight is one of the most high profile fights in the super middleweight division right now. I'm so pleased for Martin Murray, he's our guy. But I'm pleased that he gets a chance to have a high profile fight in the UK. He boxed Sturm in Germany, Martinez in Argentina, Abraham in Germany, Golovkin in France. Now he gets a chance to really get his teeth into a big domestic fight. The response for that fight has been incredible. And it's a great fight. And we're petitioning that for a final eliminator for the WBA. And I think we're going to get it.
Is it currently an eliminator?
It's an eliminator, and I think it'll become a final eliminator. Bear in mind, Sauerland's got one of the champions anyway, so he can just say we're going to fight him, and then effectively it's a final eliminator anyway. And we can just have an agreement with him for the winner to go on and fight for the world title. But Groves Murray is a brilliant fight, brilliant fight.
What is the situation with that WBA belt then?
Sturm, you got this Sturm problem at the moment, haven't you? And then you got De Carolis, who is fighting Zoiga for the world title. That's the regular belt. So
Sturm hasn't been stripped.
I don't think so. I think, are they waiting for his B sample or something? I don't know. But there's talk of Sturm retiring initially. Maybe now's the time for him to retire. But I love the Groves Murray fight. And again, I think you're always learning, aren't you? And perhaps in your interviews, maybe I overhype things. It's my job. A little bit too much about cards. And last time when we talked about the April 9th card, April 9th card, Josh wasn't fighting Charles Martin. And the plan was for him to box a Jennings or a Malik Scott or these guys and have 3 or 4 world title fights on the bill in December 12th start. Obviously when we spent the money on Charles Martin, that changed, although it was still a good card. This time around, we have the opportunity to build a bigger, better card, going back to the December 12th kind of standard. And Groves Murray is an indication of where we're looking to go with this card. So another huge UK name looking to get on. Looking to put Dillian White on the card as well. Got a meeting with him in an hour. So by the time this goes out, might have been announced, or he might have just beat the life out of me. Looking to do something with David Price as well. Maybe make the Dave Allen fight. Conor Benn will be on the card. Another couple of other title fights. So June 25th is going to be a big one. Big one.
You said a big UK name. You back?
Maybe.
Okay. If that is the case, are we assuming it will be a defence of his British title?
It might not be Eubank. I mean, there's certainly, we're certainly still talking to him, but there's plenty of other guys, and one of my reasons for travelling to the US this week is to sit down with quite a few of the players out there and look at bringing some recognised big name world champions over to the UK, some of which will feature potentially on June 25th. And the other reason is obviously for James DeGale, and the other reason is to nail Kell Brook's opponent.
We'll come to Kell Brook in a moment. What's the delay about Tony Bellew?
The delay with Tony Bellew is boxing everything off with the council, getting the seating plan and tickets out and manifest out, which will be ready on Thursday or Friday. I know it's kind of been semi-announced for May the 28th, for 29th, Sunday, and it will happen, but I don't like announcing things till it's done. And sometimes, you know, things change in boxing, but for when I'm talking about dates and stuff like that, I want to make sure it's all done properly.
So something this big though, aren't you giving yourself the shortest amount of time possible?
Yeah, we're going to have just over 4 weeks, and I would have rather had 6 or 7 weeks at least. But it is what it is. I'm not going to lose this opportunity to do this, and I'm not going to lose the opportunity for Tony Bellew. So, yeah.
I understand, obviously, you're not or haven't announced it. I get what you're saying.
People know I think people got a good idea that it's happening. Yeah. But
potential fights on the undercard is Jose Burton and Tony Dodson, is that?
Yeah, correct. That's in
also
play.
Sean Dodd.
Sean Dodd.
Versus who?
Again, we'll see what happens over the next 24, 48 hours. And Stephen Smith.
Looking for David Price.
David Price. Maybe Callum Smith as well.
Paul?
So, no. Farrell against Yates in I think English title. No, it's going to be a big card. Low, like 4 or 5 other young Liverpool fighters on. Funnily enough, gearing it towards Liverpool fighters.
Yeah. Realistically, how many are you expecting?
Haven't got a clue.
So you're going with a big punt with this?
Yeah.
What would you be happy with?
15,000?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a great story. Tony Bellew as an underdog in the fight, fighting for the world title. And he's not just like a guy who goes to the occasional Everton game. He is, as you know, mental toffee, Everton fan. In Liverpool, first time ever, Goodison Park. First time ever outdoors at a football ground, I believe. With a load of Scousers in big fights on the bill. On a Sunday, bank holiday. Great day of boxing, great day of partying, great day of having fun. Does it do 10? Does it do 20? Who knows?
Obviously, the night before you were in Glasgow.
Yeah, I don't know how it's all going to work, to be honest with you. I mean, Glasgow with Ricky Burns fighting for the world title. So the plan is to do a huge weekend of World Championship boxing on Sky. Saturday night, Sunday, late afternoon, through to the evening. Something completely different. Bank holiday Sunday. Everyone loves a bank holiday Sunday to go out. Am I right in that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, who knows? Who knows? All I know is Bellew Makubu is a great fight. Great fight. And it's for the WBC Cruiserweight World title. And we haven't had... I'm going to say something here that I think is right. We haven't had a WBC World Champ since Carl Froch.
Yeah. I'd go along with it.
So he could be the first WBC champion probably in 5 years from the UK.
He loves that green and gold.
Oh, it's a wonderful title to be in. Mate, that's a tough fight. Tough fight.
Okay. I've been inundated with these questions about why the undercard for Anthony Crolla versus Barroso is still heavily TBA'd. Mm-hmm. And the answer to that is?
The answer to that is we've probably got 6 or 7 fights done and confirmed. We need to update 3 or 4 of them on our site and on BoxRec. We've been incredibly busy. And that's our fault. It's not anyone's fault. The Crolla-Barroso card is not as strong as our usual cards, and that is purely because I'm spending a lot of money on the main event. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, when Anthony Crolla became world champion, when he beat Darlis Perez, we had to fight Ismael Barroso. It's one of the most dangerous fights in the division, and I want to make sure that I pay him an absolute fortune for that fight, and that's what I'm doing. And Barroso's getting a few quid as well. So for a regular Saturday night fight night, again, people aren't really interested in this, but you asked the question. I know what I have to do for that show to survive or wipe its face. And I'll have a budget for the undercard, and that is well spent. And yeah, we got Martin Murray on there, we got Paul Smith on there, we got Tommy Coyle on there. I know not in huge championship fights. You got Singleton against Anwar, which is a good fight, and I need to add one more fight, championship fight, a good fight, which I'll do. We're working on at the moment. Probably Dave Ryan, because of what happened in Leeds. He's waiting to go for the Commonwealth title. So, but again, I've had people, you know, why is the undercard not strong? Because I've spent all the money on the main event. I don't know what else to tell you. That's the honest answer. And I like to pay people, going back to the fact, life-changing money, and that is what Anthony Croller's receiving for this fight. And if I was paying him Terry Flanagan, the money Terry Flanagan gets or Liam Smith gets, yeah, I could have spent another couple of $100 grand on the undercard. But I'd rather give it to Anthony Croller. I like him a lot. I think he deserves it. This amount of money is going to make a difference to his life. He deserves this type of money to be in a fight like this. So the undercard won't be as strong as if it was a vacant title, or, you know, if it was a non-world title fight. But that's the honest truth. I wanted to give Croller the biggest payday, and the fight's expensive.
So with Martin Murray, obviously confirms the fight George Groves. Does he need that fight?
Yeah, he does. He wants that fight on next weekend, because he's coming off the Abraham defeat, and you know, I think he wants to go in there with a bit of momentum. So he'll still fight on the card. And like I said, we're working round the clock to have one more championship fight. But you know, and I want to pay these guys as much money as possible, and I feel like we pay some real great purses. And you know, he's earning probably 3 times as much as the other domestic champion in the division. And that's when we start talking about the Croller-Flanagan fight. How does it work? Because Croller's already getting a huge amount of money. So, you know, after this fight, touch wood, he beats Barroso, we can maybe start moving towards the Flanagan fight, but everything's got to be relative to the real world and what's being paid and where everybody is at this moment.
Well, I suppose you can't. Well, you're just saying how it is with regards to the card. I mean, the questions I've been asked is obviously why.
Yeah, I think
a week and a half out is still not announced.
We've been a little bit with the Everton stuff and the Joshua stuff and the Burns stuff, and you know, I'm not saying that we haven't had any focus on this card, but we should have updated stuff better. And a lot of the stuff we should have updated isn't necessarily incredible fights, but at least the guys are matched, so that should be out there. I think one of the frustrations is they go on matchroomboxing.com, go on events, look at the card, and it's just like 10 names. And that, you know, I gave Paul a bit of a bollocking today about it, and so speak to John and make sure he put it up, because you know the stick I'm getting on Twitter. So. Alright,
but obviously May 7th for Croller, same night
as
Canelo Khan as well.
Oh, Chisora and Pulev, yeah. I mean, again, people are saying to me, oh, you're alright, because Sky viewers at home are going to watch a couple of championship fights from Manchester, then Chisora against Pulev, then Croller Barroso. But I guess the guys in the arena want more action, even though 90% of people come for the main event. But they're right, we do need another championship fight, and I'm working on it.
Okay, so
what's next?
It's May the 7th, Kell Brook.
Yes.
I wanted to speak to you about this last week when it was relevant. It still is relevant now.
It's always relevant.
Always relevant. Right, let's just get this.
Give me any question you want.
Right, okay.
Don't hold back.
So I put it on Twitter that which you did, you showed me an email, which maybe you should or shouldn't. I don't know.
I just had the there's only when you see stuff about like the COTTO thing, and people don't even take a breath to go, would he really turn down a COTTO fight? So people now who hate me that much go, yeah, he would 100%. That's why I sent it to you, just to show you, because I can tell you, and you might even think, HEARN's slippery. You know what I mean? But again, that's why I love the way you came out there and said, "I've seen the emails. He didn't turn down a Kai fight." I was like, "Go on, Kugi, son." But you're proper setting yourself up.
Well, no, but listen.
You got my back, right?
Yeah, people say I'm up your ass. But if I feel like people are, not just you, but anyone, and if I know something.
I'm not bothered about me getting stick, ever. But I don't like Kel to get the stick because he's ready to fight anyone. And he certainly wouldn't turn down the Cotto fight in a million years. And he makes the decisions, not me. A lot of people seem to think that I just, like, these people are locked away in a room and I open the door and go, you're fighting Carson Jones 3. Bellew, out here now. Chilemba's ready to go again. Do you know what I mean? It's like they decide. Their teams decide. If they've got a manager, they've got a trainer. We all decide together on some of them. But it's not me just ordering them about who they fight. If an opportunity comes up to fight Miguel Cotto, I go straight to Kell Brook and say, "Do you want to fight Miguel Cotto?" Which I did, because HBO asked me. He went fucking right. That's about as far as the conversation got. And tomorrow, Thursday, I'm with Rock Nation in New York. Talk about a load of stuff. But one of the things is, what are you doing with Cotto? Because we're there, we're ready for that fight. But things are moving on in many other areas, and a Cotto fight is very unrealistic for when we need to fight.
The email you did show me was obviously a conversation from back in February, back end of February.
That's when it started, yeah.
That's when it started. And obviously, just for people that don't know, it said that they weren't interested for Brook Cotto for June 13th, was it? 13th?
Or 18th.
Or 18th, or whatever. But maybe something further along the line.
Yeah, that generally means fuck off. Leaving me alone.
But Dan Raphael, his story.
Oh, I had to go at him and all. I sent him an email saying, well, Brook's not a realistic option, or they're not available.
He won't be ready. Yeah.
Ready? I came back and went, what are you talking about? He went, well, as if you're going to sign now to fight him on June in a pay-per-view fight. It's not enough time to build the pay-per-view. I went, that's not what you put in your article. I'm getting shit because I said, we talked about this fight in February. We're ready. Today, if they phoned up and said June the 13th, we'll take the fight. But what he meant was that they're not going to have a pay-per-view fight on June the 18th. But he didn't write it very well.
Do you feel under like stupid amounts of pressure to make sure you definitely get Kell this big fight in the summer? Because
no, I don't really feel like stupid. I'm doing it for Kell Brook. I'm not doing it because some people are tweeting me saying you're a prick, you better make a big fight for Kell Brook. The only pressure that I feel is that I feel like he's the best in the world at 147 pounds, and I feel the pressure because I want him to prove it. That's all. So, but as I said to Kell the other day, sometimes you have to keep a straight head in this situation, and what that means is making the right decisions. So at the moment we have probably 2 options which we could go with now, with another 2 that could open up very soon. But this is a pivotal moment for his career in terms of the move that we make. So think with your head and your balls, not just your balls. You've got to think smart as well. But we're closing in, and I think after my trip to America and maybe a few days of tying it up, next couple of weeks, we'll be ready to go.
Do you think his profile is faded?
Well, in comparison to if you would have had a big fight, yeah. But everywhere I go, people still talk to me about Kell Brook, mainly about when's he going to have a big fight. So, you know, Sky were at the House of Commons last night and there was MPs coming up, Adam Smith texted me saying, when's Brook going to have a big fight? So that's what people want. They know he's good. I don't think there's any doubt that he is. If you don't believe he's the best, then he's top 3, 147 pounds in the world. But you can't just listen to me saying it. We've got to go and prove it. So,
what date are you looking at for Brook?
End of July.
End of July.
There's certain guys who we're talking to who would prefer to box in August, and there's certain guys that are ready to go now. So depending on who we go with, end of July, it might squeeze into August.
And not necessarily here.
Probably here. Probably here. But we're open. But the money's not big enough in America. You know, they're not going to come up with enough money. I said to Heyman's guys, you want him to fight Errol Spence? Come up with an offer. No, we're going to fight Pomerantz and then we can talk about the fight when he's mandatory. Great. But there's certain guys ready to go. Certain guys coming off fights. You know, you got also Alvarez and Khan going on May the 7th. Who knows what's going to happen in that fight? That's relevant to us as well, both sides. But we need to make our move in the next 10 days to 2 weeks. And, you know, one of the reasons for the trip this week is to make sure that everything's in order.
People were under the assumption after Spence beat Algieri that
he was mandatory.
And that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But have you had that conversation about Errol Spence then? Is that
yeah, they don't want to. Look.
But should
again,
they prefer a straight shot?
No, because they don't think he's ready.
Right.
I'm just again, but problem is you get fighters that say, "I'll fight him." It's like people Garcia or Brook or Porter. I'll fight Brook in England. It's like you might not, but also these people definitely won't let you, right? Errol Spence the same. They've got bright people and people who know a lot about the game taking him in the right direction. The fight with Kell Brook now is not the right time, not for Kell Brook, for Errol Spence to fight Kell Brook. Right? If he wants to fight, call us up, we'll make the fight. Kell will fight him. And it's actually probably a better time for Kell to fight him now. Because he's a hell of a fighter. What?
Before he gets in the
yeah. So, but they know, look, he's not, you know, whether he's ready for Brook or not, he's going to get better. He's going to be more ready for Brook in 6 months, 12 months. And when we have to fight him, we ain't going nowhere. But realistically, our options are with 4 or 5 people, with various promotional companies representing the fighters, and with a hell of a lot of money that's going to have to be lured to get Kell Brook what he deserves.
That's another thing that's been suggested. Obviously, Brook's mandatory isn't going to be called till the end of December, 3 months from there, so yeah. Effectively
spring.
So, spring next year. By the time that comes around, people have suggested that Brook may move up a weight by then.
All I can tell you is that we're not looking at Errol Spence and saying, what are we going to do when he's mandatory? All I'm saying is, by the time that fight comes around, it will be such a big fight that 75-25 for Kell Brook, yes, please. Stick it all in the money for the purse bid, or make us a huge offer, or we'll bring Spence over here for a big pay-per-view fight. Not a problem. Not a problem. Will he move up? Yeah, he'll move up. He'll move up. He might move up next for the right fight. But he honestly doesn't have a problem fighting Spence. For me, do I have a problem with him fighting Spence? I think it's a really, really tough fight and it's not as big as it will be. But I have to deliver Kell a big fight, and that is a big fight.
A couple of things about the IBF. I saw a few tweets the other day about these IBF mandatories after Dominic Wade and Golovkin. And what's your take on it? I mean, the mandatories that are coming up for different weights don't seem to be anywhere near who the champion is, like anywhere near it. So
one of the problems with the IBF is that many years ago they were run by different people and they got into trouble for doing things they shouldn't. Do your own research into that. I won't go into it. Everything changed, the organisation changed. And since then, every single decision from Lindsay Tucker, who is an incredible gentleman, but is also incredibly, I was going to say anal, but it's probably not the nicest word for Lindsay, because he's that nice a bloke. Everything is by the book. Everything. So sometimes things will happen where you will think that's out of order, or what's he doing there? But they're only following their rules. I'll give you an example, right? A final eliminator is called between, in fact, let's play IBF fantasy boxing. I'm going to get up an example of certain divisions, and I'll tell you exactly how things are going to play out, so you can see into the future. Firstly, and when you talk about mandatory or final eliminators not being that strong, let's look at AJ's mandatory, which will be the winner of Carlos Takam and Parker. That's a serious mandatory. Yeah. So you're not always right. Let me look at a division that I'm invested in. Let's look at the lightweight division with the IBF. So this is a good example. Richard Comey he wins the IBF international title, he defends it a couple of times. So naturally, you're going to be moving up the rankings, right? Behind the scenes, it's the promoter's job. Every division has a ratings chairman or a ratings committee to write to him and say, look, I've noticed that so-and-so's at number 4. Well, we've just beat the guy that beat him. Do you know what I mean? So we think we should go at number 3. People review it, etc. Richard Comey got called for a final eliminator against, I want to say Shafikov, but anyway, I'm not sure. He didn't want to fight him. So nobody wanted to fight Richard Comey. So what happens then, IBF rules, if Richard Comey's number 3 and someone's number 4, you ask number 4. Then you ask number 5, then 6, then 7, until somebody accepts. By doing that, you're going to get in the situation where there's a weaker final eliminator matchup, right? Some of the guys, the bigger names, don't want to take the final eliminators because it puts them at a 75-25 split when they're mandatory. Do you understand what I mean? Right. I'll give you an example. The IBF heavyweight title, if Povetkin was number 3, would Povetkin have accepted the final eliminator to fight someone, i.e. Joshua or something like that, or would he prefer to wait? As it happens, he was on the WBC. The percentage is a little bit higher, 70-30. He might have actually got a little bit more. So a lot of the bigger guys don't want to be in the final eliminators. It's going to be really interesting to see if Spence will actually fight his final eliminator. Because if he does, he becomes 75-25 to Brook. And I think they'll only do that if they really fancy the fight against Brook. If not, I'm not sure they'll have the final eliminator, which is against Ponomarev. Let's go to another division, because this is so much fun. Let's look at the super middleweight division with the IBF. James DeGale is champion. So, they called a final eliminator between, I want to say, somebody Jackson, Julian Jackson's son, Julius Jackson, and Jose Uzcat's guy, right? So they went all the way down to Jose Uzcat's guy because everybody else was tied up or didn't want to fight Jackson. So all of a sudden you've got Julius Jackson against Uzcat's guy in a final eliminator to become the mandatory. The question is, are those guys strong enough to become mandatory? You say no, right? They had their fight. Uzcat's guy knocked him out. He becomes number 1. He becomes James DeGale's mandatory. With about 3 months to go, he gets injured. So therefore, what do the IBF do? They follow their rule book and they go down the rankings. The next guy was Rogelio Medina. Another example. Not good enough, really. Now, when you look at Brook's mandatory, same thing. He boxed Jojo Dan, then they order a final eliminator. No one wanted to fight the final eliminator. Do you remember? It was it was Bradley. Bradley offered it to Khan. Khan said no. Then it went to someone else, and then he turned it down. Then in the end, Bradley went and done something else. Then it became about 7 versus 8, which was BREAZEALE against Frederick Lawson. Lawson was 19-0, everyone expected him to win. Had the fight in Florida where Lawson is from. BREAZEALE knocked him out, stopped him. So BREAZEALE becomes the mandatory. And everyone goes, oh no, Jojo Dan beat him. So, yeah, so I guess the last 10 minutes have been total waffle. No one's understand what I've said, but that's what I'm getting at. So when we actually make a conclusion to that, a lot of the IBF mandatories sometimes aren't good enough, in my opinion, but it's because they follow their rules.
So Gennady Golovkin,
yeah.
It was Tureano Johnson against Eamon O'Kane was the final eliminator.
Correct.
Johnson was injured.
Went
so
down the list.
The next one down the list was Dominic Wade.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was not a joke, you can't say it's a joke fight because Golovkin is a beast, but it wasn't, you know, I saw the knockdowns and they weren't really, didn't seem, I don't know, what was it like live?
Went 2 rounds. So.
I know, but they didn't look like...
But you don't know unless you're getting...
No, listen, these are, yeah, of course. All right, mate.
Right,
you're talking to me like you've been hit by Golovkin. Well, you know, I mean, you haven't been hit by Golovkin, have you? Well, nor have you, fat nuts.
Right, just hold on 1 second. Sorry, quick card change. Actually, something I did want to talk to you about was keeping with the IBF. Obviously, David Price was very vocal on social media, and rightly so as well, about
Tepper's ranking.
About Tepper.
Yeah, so what they've done with Tepper is they skipped him for the final eliminator. And I don't think they want to do anything with him until the investigation is complete. And I have no idea what's happening with that. I mean, I'm not even involved. But when the final eliminator come out, Tepper should have got it. But obviously he weren't allowed because he's under investigation or whatever it is. The question is, should he be out of the rankings?
But I think I saw a story on World Boxing News that the IBF are going to remove him from the rankings.
Are they? Probably. But I guess, I don't know if he's appealed the doping violation or whatever it is. But I think, again, they're very particular, the IBF. They're petrified of doing something they shouldn't. So they follow their rules. And maybe they're saying until the investigation's over or whatever, he'll remain there and then he'll be out of the rankings. I don't know. You have to ask them. I'm not the IBF.
You sure?
I'm not Sky. Do you know what I mean?
Right, James DeGale this week. You're going out there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you're meeting Leonard Ellaby, aren't you?
Yeah, we're going to try and kick off this Mayweather and Matchroom partnership.
Love and Fielding.
One of the fights, yeah, but like a whole host of fights. Be fun.
So yeah, DeGale, which is also interesting, is the other fight on the bill between.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Medina can punch a bit, so Chunky's just got to be switched on, but he looks good, he looks sharp. I think his confidence is on another level, so I think he'll get the job done in style. Looking forward to Jack against Bute. Taking Callum Smith out there as well to have a look, because obviously he's supposed to be fighting the winner, but James wants to fight the winner as well. So yeah, looking forward to it, Washington. I wonder if Floyd will be there. Maybe with promotions, isn't it? Chill, me and might have a little chill with Floyd. You know.
Well, Barack might be there.
Who?
Barack.
Barack Obama.
The White House. He's in Washington.
Yeah, I know that, mate. But I think
he's a big fan of you. Apparently.
I've heard this, but I don't know. I might tweet him. Shall I tweet him now?
How many views does that get when Barack met Eddie?
That's all you think about. Such a view whore.
Numbers, same thing with you.
There you go.
I'm not gonna lie.
Do numbers take over your life? Like,
yeah.
They do, don't they?
They do, yeah.
I said to you today, right, let's just get it out there. Coop, you phoned me up, right? So whenever anything happens, he phones me up and he's like, can I come see you? And I'm like, mate, what about how you been, mate? You're right, what are you up to? Look, Kugan, yes, Coop. Mate, can I come and see you tomorrow? Got, you know. So today I said, Coop, why don't you do a Q&A? I said, we've done a lot of sit down, mate. There's a lot to talk about. It's going to do good numbers. You know, let's just do the interview. So, all right, okay. But we're going to do a Q&A, I think, not next week, week after.
After Carlton week, yeah, after Carlton and Crawler week. Yeah, why I said that is because have you ever sat there trying to read through like the sheer amount of people abusing you. Like,
I do most
5,000
nights.
emails.
I do most nights.
5,000 emails.
I was thinking about coming off Twitter because all the abuse is like getting in the way of the ones that I should be answering. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite difficult.
But that's an overnight job, and when you text me this morning, I thought,
sorry, mate.
I've got a lot to do today. So,
like what?
I had a lot to do today.
Like what?
I went to home base.
For what reason?
For some lights. I don't get.
You know, like if you go to home base for some lights, for example, do you put them up yourself?
I'll pay someone to do it.
Yeah.
Why do you put them up yourself?
No. But I couldn't. I'm physically terrible at things like that.
Yeah, so am I. So hide help.
Like say that, right? See that light up there?
Yeah.
And obviously they can't see it, but or maybe that light. They could probably see that light. Yeah. If that went,
yeah.
Would you be comfortable to change it?
I can change the bulb, yeah.
But you see the ones up the top, would you get on a ladder and change them, or would you call someone out?
I could stand on this and probably change.
You couldn't
the
stand on
bulbs.
this desk, mate.
Why?
Because it would snap into.
Okay, but alright, if it's a ladder then I could change the bulb, but if it was anything more technical.
What about putting a door handle on?
I'll put
a door.
I put one on.
Did you?
Yeah, on my bathroom.
Fair play.
But
I couldn't do that.
My mate was taking me through it on the phone.
I couldn't do that. No. I could change a light bulb, don't get me wrong. It's a huge achievement. But I couldn't put a handle on a door.
Can you change a wheel?
No. Do you know what? Now I'll take that back. I could change a wheel. I've never done one, but I reckon I could do it.
So if you had a puncture on the motorway, what if you was in a major rush? Say, what if it was like Joshua's homecoming or something? Back to Watford, and you had to be there.
I'd have a go. I would have a go, but...
What, for Joshua you would?
I'd probably have a go in general, but it would all end in tears and it would come off like 50 yards later. I can change a tyre, but I've never done one. So actually I don't know if I can or not. Can we film it? Me trying to change a tyre.
What do you do then?
What do you mean, what do I do?
Like, what do you do? Like, are you practical? I'm not practical, I'm not going to say I'm practical.
No.
So you're not practical?
No. My missus knows I'm absolutely useless. Listen, I go to work, bring the fucking dough home, and that's it. Don't bother me at home. Don't tell me to change, like go and build, like, we've built a kid's, like, little, you know, like a house, like, wooden house for them to play in. And she's like, I've bought a desk. Can you put it together and then put it in their little house? It's like, no, I can't.
When you're at home, if you want like a cup of coffee made, what do you do? Do you ask?
No, I'll go and I'll make it myself. Yeah.
What do you get? What will you?
She would like. I always think that you've got two types of women, right? You've got the women who have the mentality, mainly, and this it's a bit generalisation, but like East End girls, right? Who a lot of my mates are married to them, and they're like, the man goes out to work, and we stay at home, and we provide for the man in terms of look after the kids, you know, make sure the house is nice, etc., etc. As things have progressed, that ideology has become more and more old-fashioned. And a lot of women now, like, that is not the norm. My missus, like, she had a good job and all that kind of stuff, so she's definitely not one of those people. If I was sitting on the couch and I went to her, darling! Firstly, she'd ignore me. Like, she'd go, what? Come here. Do us a favour. Make us a cuppa. Right? She'd go, make it yourself, you pig, or something like that. It's just like reading Twitter, really. Or, if I went to her, darling, couldn't make me a cup of coffee, could you? That'd be fine. But, like, my old man, like my mum's called Susan, right? He'll be there, he'll have his feet up on the thing, and it would literally be like this. Susie! There, no, darling, cup of tea. And she'd come over, and I'll be round there on a Sunday, I'll go, how can you put up? She goes, well, he's useless, isn't he? He can't do anything. So, but what would you do with your missus if you went, I mean, there's just ways to ask for it, isn't it? If you went, darling, make us a cup of tea, obviously she'd make one.
She does.
But is she that kind of, like, does she does, some women like to do everything for their men.
Yeah, so
like,
she does the washing up, the ironing, the cooking, the cleaning.
Your clothes don't require any ironing.
Why?
Well, I've never known you to have anything that's ironed. Because it's always tracksuit bottoms or tracksuit tops.
It's day wear, isn't it?
Yeah. But, so she does cooking, ironing, cleaning.
Yeah.
That's sort of, you know, but
you know, I've got to go.
I didn't get one then.
I've got to go work every day.
Yeah, so have I. But,
I've got to go to Vegas.
do you know the one thing that stresses me out? Like, work is stressful, but you know, kids. You ain't got any kids, have you, mate? Do you know we never got to the bottom of my ear thing?
Yeah, what happened with that? Because I'm sure everyone's interested.
Hey, you're not going to believe this. This is going to end up being the worst story ever. So, I thought I had an ear infection, right? But we got over that, don't you? Do you remember?
Yeah.
And then we established that we thought it was my tooth. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was Joshua Fight Week.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to the dentist. I haven't been to the dentist for 6 years. They were full x-rays. I had root canal on that a few years ago. All fine. But the pain was still there. I said, I don't know what it is. He said, do you grind your teeth in your sleep? Are you stressed? I went, don't think I've ever done it before. So he says, he goes, I'll make you a mouth guard for you to sleep in. I was like, no thanks, I'm all right. He said, but do you get angry and do that? And I went, no. Anyway, I've realised that the only time I'd go is when I'm around my kids. You know, like if I say to her, darling, you got to go to sleep now, you got to school tomorrow. No, I'm not going to sleep, Dad. I want you to read me another book. I'll do that. And I've pulled something in the joints or ligaments in my jaw here. And it's only just recovering now. So I know everyone's been really concerned.
You're blaming your daughter for this?
I'm blaming my stress levels around kids. Like I get home and, you know, whatever kind of day you've had, however much shit's gone on, generally is what it is, isn't it? It's your work. But the one thing I won't tolerate is kids being disrespectful to me. I think it's like, I will spoil them, two girls, like they're everything in my life and I will give them everything I want, but they have to be respectful. It doesn't, not just to me.
Well, you want them to be good role models, don't you?
Exactly. Exactly, Kugan. But, and that's things like if they're at school and someone opens the door for them, if they don't say thank you, that gives me the raving up. And when they answer back, which I know it's what kids do, I get really angry. And I do it to, you know, I say,
why are you
stop
changing
it.
your face?
Yeah, no, but I say, stop it now. I've pulled something in my jaw.
It must be, you know, I do...
What about if you woke up in the night, right? It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, you're starving.
Yeah.
You rolled over and you've noticed that you've woke her up as well because, like, when you've rolled over, like, the bed's gone like that, because it would, right?
Hang on, you want to do a weight check, do you, big boy?
Am I still weighing more than you? Anyway, and you go to her, I'm starving, go and make me some toast.
She would go fucking mental.
Really? Good.
She would absolutely, for waking her up for that, there's only one way reason I'd wake her up if she's got to get up for work in the morning, is if it was an emergency.
Right.
Like, the place is on fire, you need to get up now, love. Or there's an intruder, you might have to get
What
up.
about if you're in bed and you heard an intruder downstairs, right? Would you say, darling, what's that noise? Go and check on it. Or would you go yourself?
What do you think?
You'd ask her, wouldn't you?
I've got things all over the place.
Are you saying this just in case anyone wants to go pop you?
No, they can if they want to do. Tweet me for my address.
Yeah.
I've got just things everywhere. Just
lasers.
I don't live in a place like yours.
Oh, that's what I've got. No,
just, you know,
I want like a chair.
No,
like, so
but
what? So or
did,
like, you know, like Home Alone. Is it like that? You know, when he puts like Christmas decorations on the floor, when they come through the window and they go, ah! Is it like that? And then when they come up to the stairs, have you got that swinging can?
But, you don't want to panic, do you? So you must have something next to your bed.
What?
Like a little, I don't know, like a little, you know, a chip or something.
What, a weapon?
You must have something by your bed.
But you're talking about you've got things downstairs. Well, oh, you're saying you've got weapons downstairs.
No, but I'm saying you've got to have something there, haven't you? Because you don't want to get up
yeah, but I thought you meant like
and
you
pick up like that. Imagine that. That was all
what?
you had.
What? A highlighter? Stay back, or I'll highlight you.
I just say you don't want to panic in that moment.
No, but I think everyone's got something that's like, but I haven't got things plotted all around the house. Like, I'm not expecting like an assassination. Well, actually, you never know. But, you know, I think...
Do you think you're the most
hated
man in boxing? In British boxing?
Yes. What would you say? Who else is more hated?
I don't know.
Let's do a top 5 hate list, right? You have to say I'm number 1. Not just from fans, but also from 100% people in the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
apart from your fighters.
Yeah, but I think still, although we've got like 40 fighters, I'm still number 1. Fans, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose I'm number 1. Most hated. Do you know who might be the most hated? And I don't... He's Fury. He's the only person that, if I ever read feedback, gets like loads of stick as well. But he don't care either. But I think in terms of masses, maybe he's up there. But I still think I edge it. So I'll go number 1, me. Number 2, Tyson Fury. Number 3, do you think Frank gets in there?
I'll tell you what, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what people's opinions were of Frank before he was being interviewed on our thing, but people starting to take to him.
No, they do, because they hate me. So, like, when we started out, they hated Frank. And I was like, up against it, and you know, go on, Eddie, son. And now I'm in that position, they hate me. But I still think there's a little bit of hate for Frank. Not much, because, you know. Who else? Prince Patel.
Definitely up there. Sorry to say it, Prince, but...
And...
I'm not saying...
You might creep in to the top 5.
Yeah, but that's through you.
It doesn't matter how it's come.
No, it does matter, because it's not self-made. I'm not a self-made prick. Right?
Well,
it's
I'm a self-made prick.
Yeah, because you've got everything yourself. This is all you're doing. All this stuff in boxing is down to you. Like, whatever you do has a knock-on effect. So I get all the shit from you.
Regardless of that, do you creep in the top 5?
No, not
Are you more hated than Prince Patel?
I don't know. Tweet the answer.
Tweet your top 5 most hated men in boxing.
Where would you put, and excuse me to these 2 boxers, just because they're opinionated and they get a lot of stick, but Paul Smith and Tony Bellew, because they're they're opinionated.
But you're talking about, again, you go back to the old, like the hardcore. If we're doing a top 5 hardcore fans hate list, I would say it's number 1 Eddie Hearn, number 2 Nick Halling or Jim Watt. He's got to be in the top 5. No, they hate him, don't they? Tony Bellew might be up there. Who else do the hardcores hate?
But you look at people like Bellew and Smith and think, how could you dislike them?
You know, they're probably 2 of the nicest blokes you could ever meet,
they are.
basically. But they're very opinionated. But I'm talking about a total British. We did a poll in Britain of the most hated men in boxing.
Yes.
Do you think David Hay would be in the top 5?
No. I don't think so.
I think he'd be in a hardcore top 5, maybe.
What, over things he says, or
I just don't think they like him. But from the overall, I don't think he'd make top 5.
Do you know someone who's very well liked on the scene? Very well liked.
What scene are we talking
The
about?
boxing scene, in the fight game.
Go on.
Dylan White.
Really? I'll tell you someone else who's very well liked in the boxing scene. Barry Jones.
Yeah.
I'll tell you some other people that are well liked, who I really like. Gary Lockett.
Yep.
Dave Coldwell.
Yep.
Whenever I start doing this, people get the hump because they haven't been, or they go, why are they Steve Wood,
yep.
Although he can be a pain in the arse sometimes, and I'll tell him that. But
we've got someone.
Who?
And he won't mind me saying this, because he probably... Smoking Joe.
What are you doing, mate?
I was doing a little cigarette thing.
Smoking Joe Gallagher.
Yeah, Smoking Joe Gallagher.
Is that his new name?
Oh, I don't know.
He's top 5 hated, 100%. Yes, Joe.
But like you, I know you said he's been a pain in the ass. I've always gone with Gallagher.
Yeah, now Joe.
Always.
Yeah, I work with Joe. I speak to him 3 or 4 times a day. He's a fucking nightmare. But I like Joe a lot. I've got a lot of time for him, and definitely. We all share the same goals. So right. on many things. Tony Sims, obviously. Rob McCracken.
Oh, he's
I like.
this Fox getting there. This Fox getting
there. Yeah, yeah. Maybe not from the bigger scene, but definitely for the hardcore. I'm going to throw a couple of random people in there that I really like.
Go on.
Mickey Cantwell.
Yeah. Got a lot of time for Mickey and the whole fat Campbell
James
family.
Cook.
Yeah. You can't say a bad word about James Cook.
These are ones that are just coming in my head.
Really
like,
nice fellow as well. Oh. Don Charles.
Yeah, I don't really know Don Charles,
Yeah,
but I've always got to speak to Don Charles actually. So stuff about Buglioni today, fighting Callum Johnson. Great fight, forget that man. Who else? I like Billy Nelson. I like Steffi Bull.
Yeah, Steffi Bull's
and I like Carl Greaves.
Who don't you actually like? Who? Oh, I'll word it a different way.
I don't really.
Who are you not a fan of? Give me a couple of names you're not a fan of.
I admire everyone. I hate to sit on a fence, but like everyone's got different qualities, haven't they? Like I'm more not a fan of the way people go about things, or you know. But I mean, even like someone like Andy Ayling, right? Good example. Works for Frank Warren. I think in the boxing game, he might, he could be #1. We might be tied for the most hated man in boxing, right? But, like, he can be a right knob sometimes. I suppose I can be a right knob, but I don't mind him. Like, I don't know. Hennessy, I don't really know. In fact, I've never really spoken to, but...
I don't think Hennessy's your...
No, I don't think I'm going to be...
But he's actually well alright. I know he does.
Do you know what? I'll speak to people who tell me that.
He looks well alright. Yeah.
But obviously, you know, and Frank, I've never really spent any time with. But a lot of people told me that socially, Frank's a great guy as well. So
I've been out with Frank many a times.
Bet you have.
Yeah.
I don't really hate. I don't have a lot of hate in me. Do you know what I mean? Maybe again because I've only been doing it 5 or 6 years.
Here's a better question. Is any of the press you don't like? I'm not pressed, by the way. No. They might, sometimes they haven't got tables. And I don't want to put a table in because it takes up a row. And that's money. Right? Straight to the point.
Yeah, but it's true. No, so the argument Eddie, when are you going to get tables in? I don't want a table in. I want a row in. You know what I mean? And then they'll go, oh, we don't value press. I do value press. Do you know, I saw Joe Gallagher's tweet about there was no press out for Stephen Smith. You've got to understand, if they had their way, they'd be there. A lot of these guys are boxing through and through. You know, Ron, Jeff's been around for ages. Even Chris, from the start. These people, they'd love to be at the events. But when they go back to Sports Desk and say, can we fly out Stephen Smith? The answer is no. Because boxing's just not getting the space that it should do.
Because people said to us, why didn't you go out? People think, can you just talk straight for 2 minutes? Because I know you're going to come up with some bollocks in a minute. But people think that if I go to America, that you pay for it. And you can't, don't start telling lies. But can you just say, because people will go into me, well, why aren't you going out to Stephen Smith? I'm like...
But you're going to DeGale?
I'm not going to DeGale, it's James.
So I'm not paying for that.
What's that? No, I know you're not.
So why don't you go to Stephen Smith?
Well, we're going to DeGale. Like the DeGale thing.
So why didn't you go to Stephen Smith?
Because we was going to DeGale and Caen Canal as well.
No.
We couldn't, if I could...
I think Joe Gallagher needs to have a word with you.
No, I think you
I want to go back to that game.
I think you need to put your hand in your pocket.
I want to go back to that game.
What game?
You know, tell me 5 random people you really like in boxing.
Graham Everett.
I don't know Graham Everett.
Who's
That's
that?
Dillian White.
Is it?
Watch this. You alright, mate?
Hello?
You alright?
Yeah, mate. I was running a bit of London. I just stopped at the night to get some food. You mind coming down here or what? It's only down the road.
Where?
The Nug's Head in Brentwood.
Can't you just come up to the office?
Huh?
You want to come up to the office?
Yeah, no, because I'm just sat here to get some food to eat, so I might be a little bit late. That's what I'm saying.
Fucking hell. You got some front, you have the money I paid you for that Joshua fight.
Come on, Eddie. This is not good front, mate.
Listen, I have to tell you now, just in case you break my neck, that you were on loudspeaker there on Kugan's interview, but I was gonna do a wind up on you, but I thought if I go and meet you and that comes out on video, you might just break my neck. So, you know what I mean? No, you wouldn't do that. Don't worry, you're not on loudspeaker now.
What's up, Dylan?
Yeah, I know. Well, do you want to, like, I'm just doing this interview. Do you want to have your food then come? There's no rush. Listen, I'm going to be half an hour or so. I'll call you in like 20 minutes and then have a wander up here, alright? Alright, mate. See you in a bit. I wonder why he wanted to get me down that outside of the office environment.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
No.
Do you know when I'll just tell a quick story.
Oh.
When I was trying to do the Joshua fight for September, do you remember? First of all,
Yeah.
I had to make a decision what we were doing, and I said to him, Dylan, I've got to see you. So he goes, all right. I said, where are you? He went, I'm in Brixton. I went, oh, I'm driving down there now. Sat in a pub for about 3 hours waiting for him in Brixton. He turned up with his brother and I think his uncle or something. And yeah, there was just me on the table. It was a fun interview. Go on, sorry, Graham Everett. I don't know Graham Everett, but I know people have said nice things.
Graham Everett. Can I just finish off on something you're saying, because it wasn't finished? So people go, oh, you only go out for whatever, the big names. Not saying Stephen Smith, I think the world of Stephen Smith. But do you remember I went out to Purdy Alexander and also Gavin Rees against Broner?
Yeah, you went because of Broner?
No, I didn't.
You
I went for Gavin Rees. I did
Mate.
not. Listen, did not go for Broner at all. I went for Gavin Rees. Big up the Welshman.
I miss Gavin Rees.
Yeah.
Lovely man.
But
I'll put Gavin Rees on my little list as well.
yeah, of random people to like.
Well, not really random, but
Well, I only mean because he's not on the scene anymore. But what I'm trying to get at is, if you, hand in the old pocket, flew me over with Bazza, I'll be there all the time. Just something to think about.
yeah. But you're more than self-sufficient now.
No.
Oh, shut up.
We can't, listen, I'll be honest with you, I can't fund every time there's a fight out that we want to go to.
Only because you want to make so much money.
No, we can't fund it. Can't fund, it's not like going to like Manchester for the weekend.
Well, that's paid for.
Yes, that is paid for by you. Or Liverpool, or Sheffield, or Hull.
Or Glasgow,
or wherever. But it's not feasible.
I just think that now, the fact that you've got sponsors, the fact that you've got YouTube revenue, we shouldn't be paying for it anymore.
I don't pay for it anyway.
What, all your travel and accommodation and everything?
No, listen, that's an ongoing relationship between us.
Well, I think it's time. I think it's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet.
Listen, if that happens, then you'll see the show you really want to go to. So
I'll be like,
your
Kugan, I mean, we've got a new show this week in Grimsby. Are you, what? You where?
Can't hear. Yeah. So listen, we've got a great relationship, me and you. We always have. Let's just leave it as it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
Okay. I hope you got my back when people slag me.
I do. Do you know what?
Because I've got your back. Amount of people that say, they say about how you've changed. You know, when you first come on the scene, and now, not arrogant, but just like general attitude has changed.
I think my attitude's fine.
I'm just saying what other people say.
I'm like, stay hungry, stay humble.
Stay hungry, stay humble.
But I'm chasing it.
What?
The dragon.
Pizzas. The dragon. What are you chasing?
No,
are you chasing? Are you running a hustle? Are you hustling?
I'm not hustling. I just want you and the other promoters just to put on the best fights possible.
Of course, everybody does.
Yeah, that's what I want. As a fan.
But and do you know what? I've got to be honest with you. I think every promoter wants to put on the best show they can. I don't think there's ever a promoter that says, "Oh, I want to do a really weak undercard with a shit main event." Do you know what I mean? But
So
every situation,
why
yeah. Every situation is different, isn't it?
It's true. But you just, this has gone on for an hour now.
Has it?
But
and there's been a lot of
you get slated so bad, and it's like I look at it and I think I don't want to come out and go and get involved in your tweets.
What, you want to come out and go, will you stop picking on Eddie? Let's have a little look, right? I have to say, like, where it's affected my social media, I don't read them all anymore. I just go like this, and then I'll stop and then go,
I'd say the majority of people don't tag you in it.
You're a fat muppet. Right, let's just have a look.
Yeah, that's what you should Twitter.
Will there be an AJ press conference anytime soon? That's a very nice one for me.
I'll find them. Right.
How many world champions did you fight before Klitschko, Pussy King? Oh, that's at Tyson.
Right.
AJ is using this fight to learn about more watch out dancing around boxing.
Here we go. So I'll just put Hearn into this feed, right? So the first thing that comes up is Hearn finds the time to troll Tyson, but nothing for fans asking questions about the Crawler undercard of today's ticket farce.
Well, there you go.
What's the ticket farce? Oh, was it something about the...
Oh, I can't. You can't win. I stopped the Fight Pass membership.
Sorry, can you go back to what you were saying?
Yeah, I stopped the Fight Pass membership. Like, basically, when we announced the Joshua fight, the Fight Pass memberships go mental, right? So after the last fight, or it might have been, say, a week ago, we said that we stopped taking Fight Pass memberships because we got too many members and not enough tickets, right? So, and then we brought in this company called Ticket Factory to manage the system better because it got too big for the system. So then we went on sale. There was a couple of problems with some registrations, but nothing too major. And we sold out the 40s, 60s, 80s, 100s. There's still some 200s and 500s left, but obviously people don't necessarily want them, but can't always help that. So the O2 went on pre-sale yesterday, sold out their entire allocation within a couple of minutes, and general sale is tomorrow. But yeah, the Fight Pass, being straight up, it's a challenge. It is a challenge. You know what we find as well on Fight Pass? You know, we do, we've done some stream shows. No one watches them.
Oh, the best thing on Fight Pass is the CASSIUS show.
No, but everybody wants it for the tickets. So we have to try and work harder to manage that. Give you an example, right? Say we got, I don't know, the last time I counted, a couple of thousand Fight Pass memberships. We have to keep it to a certain number. Otherwise, what's the point? If you've got 3,000 Fight Pass tickets to go on and you've got 5,000 members, becomes... we could easily do that, but try and make it as fair as possible. When I've done a Fight Pass show, how many people were watching the Fight Pass show?
Hit me.
Of the, say, 3,000 members?
500?
More like 150.
Okay.
And they were costing a lot of money. We were putting all the production in everything. What I'm going to try and do, on June the 3rd, which is a Friday night at York Hall, I'm going to do a show. And I'm going to try and get Sky to stream the show on skysports.com.
You'll get a much better response from that.
Well, obviously.
Well, obviously. If you stream it on IFL, you'll get a better response. Just putting it out there.
You could do that.
Can I just read you some more tweets about you?
Well, not really, because it really affects me.
Come on, let me hit you with three. Her making Joshua Brazil a pay-per-view in the UK is pathetic.
Thank you.
This is from Adam Abramovitz.
Oh, I know. Do you know what? A lot of them I just recognise by now because they are non. Do you know there's a couple of guys who... Have you seen like that guy, JP... I blocked him ages ago, but the other day he was tagged into a tweet. I went on this thing. Every tweet, the whole day, for the last 6 months has been about me, but not just every half hour. Like, he responds to everybody that tweets me. Must be someone in the game.
Joshua has actually had 2 steps down since fighting Dylan White. Amazing. No risk, all reward. The Hearn way. This is Alex Morris.
Yeah, that's it, like standard geezer.
Let's see if you can guess who tweeted this one. Since leaving Sky, the McGuigans have got Kiko, Quig and Leo Santa Cruz for Cole. Not one person other than Froch has HEARN done that for his guys.
Well, I made the first Martinez fight. I made the Quig fight. But no, I think Cyclone done a good job at Coffin. His biggest payday was in my co-promotion.
Who do you think sent that this week?
Oh, it would be
Your old buddy.
Brian. Yeah.
If Cole was still with HEARN, he would have had fought Wake in the Mando defence. That's the difference here, I feel, honestly.
He might have. Depends. I don't make everything's down to the fighter. Like, the one thing I admire about Carl taking that fight is he's going to make a lot less money than he did for fighting Quig. And I thought that would stop the fight. But he's obviously had his big payday and he wants to go for it. Good luck to him.
Say what you want, HEARN is the saviour of British boxing.
Go on, my son! Did you make that up?
Yeah.
Was there nothing like that at all? No. I do get the odd one like that. It does make me feel quite warm. And then I like it, and then every troll comes on and just destroys the person who sent it. Go on, find one nice one.
What should I put HEARN positive in it? HEARN.
HEARN.
Do you know what comes up? Do you know what? People ask me to talk about this all the time, but we've already spoke about this before, and you've gone into it. But the StubHub thing.
I don't know what else to say. We give StubHub an allocation of tickets that are sold at face value. In fact, I think you can go on tomorrow and buy them at face value from StubHub. But it's Frank trying to spin it. And yes, they have a secondary market where the public, if they want to sell their tickets to someone who wants to pay stupid money for it, you can do that. You can do it on about 40 sites across the country. It's not illegal. We do not provide those tickets for resale. You can buy them for face value. I don't know what else to tell you. But Frank does a very good job of spinning that. He says apparently it's the only reason we sell tickets for our shows is because StubHub buy them all. Well, StubHub, we provide them with about 1,000 tickets that have to be sold at face value, and they'll be sold tomorrow when they go on sale.
Yeah, but the chances of someone getting them are very low, yes?
But it doesn't matter. The public can go on there, or the public can go on...
But then they're driven onto the next site, is that right? Or...
Well, not driven on there, but yeah, you can buy them on there. You can buy them on Vivago. Viagogo, sorry. What's Vivago? It's a travel site, isn't it? Viagogo, Get Me In, all the other sites.
Tickets.
But what's happening is, when we go on general sale, there's all kinds of things. There's touts who will go on to try and buy a ticket to try and resell and make a few quid. For every major event, they do it, not just boxing. Then there's the Joe Public who go on and might buy a £100 ticket and go, do you know what, this is sold out in 10 minutes, which it will. And I might stick that on eBay or something, see if I get £1,000 for it. That's just the mentality.
But what would be the problem with you doing it with a site or like a ticketing outlet that's not affiliated with a secondary market?
We could do that, but a lot of them are. Ticketmaster's associated with one. A lot of them are. They've got subsidiary sites. One of the main reasons is because they sell a lot of tickets for us. Face value tickets. I'm not talking about major events. I'm talking about Brook. I'm talking about Crawler. They're selling a lot of tickets for us and driving numbers to events. Face value numbers. So they're very helpful.
Alright, someone goes onto StubHub, they don't find a ticket that they want face value, so they go onto the secondary site and there's I'm going to give it an example, £100 ticket that's on there for 300 quid.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
So it's a member of the public trying to turn a profit, and I don't agree with it. But it happens on every site. Go and look at eBay. It's one of the biggest sites in the world. It's happening all the time. You're never going to stop someone trying to sell a ticket for a profit when they think they can, they can make a few quid. It's just.
How does it compare with Eventim, who Frank Warren uses?
I don't know. I don't know if they've got access to, or a secondary site that might be, but I don't know. I don't. We sell a huge amount of tickets compared to Frank Warren, but we don't drive. We don't say to people, if you didn't buy a ticket for StubHub, go on now and buy one for £3,000 that was 50 quid. So, but ours are face value tickets that are provided to them and sold to them. Face value only. Written in a contract, 100%. And they'll be on there tomorrow. Small amounts. You know, you've got the O2 pre-sale. You've got the Fight Pass pre-sale. You've got the AXS pre-sale, which I think was today. And you've got the general sale. All those pre-sales are sold out. The only one that's where we've got 50 or 60 tickets left is Fight Pass. Of the more expensive ones. General sale will hit tomorrow. Fight Pass tickets will be transferred. It will sell out straight away.
What was the deal with Wembley and that day?
July 9th.
July 9th.
So, after we didn't get the June 4th, which was the calm day, I said to Wembley, if AJ wins the world title, we might go to Wembley. Got anything? And he said, we got July the 9th, but I believe, and confirmed in your interviews, Frank Warren was trying to get July the 9th for Billy Joe against Eubank or something like that, yeah. So he never signed an agreement for July the 9th at all. But anyway. So then he went quiet on them, and I stepped up and I said, I'll have that for Joshua. Let's see if he wins first. Let's clear our heads, but in principle, I like the idea of July 9th. A day before the event, they confirmed July the 9th for Klitschko Fury. So, and I had a feeling that was going to be the date. So it was like, do we go to Wembley with Josh? Maybe. But do we go on the same night as Klitschko Fury? Maybe. Do we outsell them? Of course. But is it good for everyone involved? Maybe not. So after the fight, obviously, my testicles filled up. The testosterone was pumping. And I was thinking, fuck it, we're going July the 9th. And that's when I said in the ring, part of it was a little bit of me winding people up. The other bit was, I think we might do this. And then when I thought about it, I thought, no. So we could have gone June 25th or July 16th. I thought, there's no point going after Fury Klitschko. You got to beat him to the punch. And that was June 25th.
Oh, unless you're honest about it.
I try and be honest on everything. And although I do rank #1 in those lists, I like to think that I just tell you how it is.
I always think when you tweet something, and I always say to people, right, HEARN, like you might talk bollocks here and whatever, but if you're tweeting something specific, I tend to think that you're saying you wouldn't tweet something that wasn't true.
Yeah, but people think that I lie, but I don't. I might overhype something, but I'm a promoter.
Yeah.
But if you ask me a question like you're doing now, I'm not going to lie to you. If I was going to do that, I wouldn't bother doing the interview. So that's like when you talk about the Crawler undercard or StubHub, or just tell you how it is. You know, but it don't really matter. Nothing really matters, does it?
Well, when you go home, shut the
No,
doors.
but what matters? You know, life's a funny thing, isn't it? I mean, you graft your nuts off, and then one day you die. And obviously it was a complete, like, I mean, what happens when you die? Who knows? But maybe it was just all a waste of time. There's no point in getting stressed, is there? Because what really matters? What matters? What matters to you? What matters to you?
My family.
Yeah.
Health.
Really? If health matters to you, mate, you've got a funny way of showing it.
No, but it does matter to me. I'm on about like serious health. Like, I don't want to be in a perfect world. I don't want to be
Ill.
But health, and then where does the wealth come into that?
I don't think.
I think it ranks.
Do you know what? The only place wealth come in for me, and people think I'm money obsessed, right? It's a way of determining winning in business. Does that make sense? Like, if we're financially improving year on, which we are, that for me means we're winning. Of course, it mustn't jeopardise the quality of the product, and that's important. But it's kind of one of the only ways that you can determine how well you're doing in business. But then you think to yourself, what would I like to be doing? Well, I would like to be sitting on a beach or travelling around, doing different things, but you don't really get the opportunity to do it, do you? So at what point do you look back and go, kind of like, you know, those 30 years where I just knocked my cods out every day? And that's why you got to enjoy it. That's why you got to love it. Who was it who said, give you a job you'll love and you'll never have to work another day again? And that's why I think the moment that you turn around in any job and go, do you know what? When you got a buzz, this ain't for me. And I know not every job's going to be for you. Sometimes you got to do it to get on with it and to make the dough. But you know, like when you just turn around and you go, I've had enough. You know?
Well, you reckon you might do that?
Not any time in the next. I mean, I've got 5 years left on my Sky contract. So, but I don't know in after that, 6, 7. I love boxing, and it's a great buzz. But the moment that buzz goes, I think I'm off. Because you can't. I'm a salesman, and you can't sell something you don't believe in. At the moment, I love it. You know, I live for it, and I can sell it. But the moment that buzz dies, your heart's not in it. It's the same with you. If all of a sudden you thought, you know what, heart's not in this IFL anymore. Go to less shows. Your commitment's not the same. Your quality's not the same. Might get a little bit down. You know.
That nearly happened.
What, with IFL?
Before Fox Groves.
Yeah, what, just because it weren't you just spending dough thinking, where's this going?
Yeah, it's alright, pats on the back don't pay the bills.
I know, exactly.
So it's alright, everyone going, oh, it's really great what you're doing, but if you're not earning any money out of it, it soon becomes, I'm not saying, oh, we're doing it, because if I did love boxing, we'll be doing it anyway, so. But, just before, did qualify just before Fox Groves?
Yeah, probably in Manchester.
In Manchester,
yeah.
Around April time. I was on the phone to someone, a boxer, that you promote. And I said the same thing to him, and he went, "Thanks, gonna come. Just leave."
Yeah, really?
Yeah, he went.
Who's that?
I don't want to say.
Will you tell me after?
Yeah, he went. Don't worry. He went because I've run him up and said, "Look, I can't be asked."
I bet I know who that was. Tony Bellew.
No, it wasn't. It weren't. But they went to me, just stick at it, because I rang him up and I was just having a little whatever. Little cry, saying, I don't see us doing it for another 6 months. Then we got our first sponsor with Betway for Fox Groves 2.
Who got that for you?
You did.
All right, okay.
Oh, prick sometimes. But from then, we've managed to.
Do you know what? When you started out, I was thinking, what are they doing? Like, this has got no chance of succeeding. But you got to stick at it, ain't you?
It might not be the best, but we've been consistent.
I think you got a good product. You got a great product.
Do you know what I found the other day?
Pair of old socks?
No, I found 3 tickets for Darren Barker versus Dominic Sparta.
Yeah. Mate, they were hard to get hold of, those tickets.
Right, you gave me them. You went. I think it's one of the first times I'd interviewed you. Come to the press conference.
Mate, that was the worst show.
How do you know?
That was my first official show.
Do you want to come to the show this week? I went, yeah. You went, how many tickets do you want? I went, give us 3.
Yeah.
And then I lost the tickets. So I rang James up and I went, oh my God, I've just lost the tickets. How and he like, you prick. Oh. I said, what do I do? Do we just not turn up? Do I ask him more? We left it. But then about a few months ago, in a drawer, I've got a man drawer. I was looking through there, looking for something. I pulled out 3 tickets, had been used.
Mate, that was my first show. Darren Barker boxed on a Matchroom show at the Ali Pally for the European title, and he sold 970 tickets. And then he come to me after, he's like, look, I really want to join Matchroom, blah, blah, blah. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to put him on it at the Olympia, on it. European title, Domenico Spada, Chelsea fans, Barnet fans, right, he done 900 and something tickets there. You know, we'll get behind him this time. He took about 1,000 tickets, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And he turned up, his brother turned up to the weigh-in, and he had like one of those man bags, do you know what I mean? And I thought, oh, I bet he's got his return tickets in there. And he pulled out these tickets, and they were like that. And I was like, oh my God. I lost about, I remember, 47 grand on that show. And I was like, fuck, what are you doing? No undercard, nothing. And it was, yeah.
Well,
how long was that?
I don't know. I dread to think when I get home and start.
3:15. Must have been over an hour and a half.
Oh, it's good. It's good anyway. People like these ones.
But we just end up
Talking bollocks. Alright, I'll wrap this up then.
okay. Yeah, it was like we were just like
We will do
talking random stuff, wasn't it?
Also, we'll do a Q&A.
Yeah.
Before
I
June
think
20th.
Q&A works really.
It does work.
Yeah.
But I need the time.
Okay, mate. I mean, whenever you got time. For me, just tell me. I'll be there.
Would you do that? Do you want to read through the emails then? Like 5,000 plus. Basically, the majority of them saying, "Tell Eddie HEARN."
I've got Snapchat, right? But when I first started on Snapchat, I thought you had to. When people followed you, I thought you had to follow them back. So I've got loads of random people on here that can send me Snapchats until I block them, and some of them are hilarious. Ed, I know you can see it because you've opened it. When's Brook going to fight someone decent? Fury's going to knock out AJ. Yeah.
Right.
Cheers, mate.
Eddie HEARN, thanks for talking to iFall TV. Subscribe to America.